All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. Glad to have you on board with us this morning and every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button if you like these videos. Subscribe so you don't miss any new videos in the future. And happy Tuesday. All right, this is the blog. I went ahead and posted tons of news and information that you guys need. As always, we'd love to have you on board on the free market blog, our website, and the link is in the description box below. Dow futures are up 38 points this morning. NASDAQ up about 102 points. Nvidia's up again this morning. Surprise, surprise, up about 2% pre-market. Earnings loom on actually tomorrow's earnings after the bell. S&P 500 futures 44.31 currently up 0.42%. Russell's up 18.69. If you held those IWM calls that we had from Friday when we closed, they were green yesterday. They flipped to red. They are now in the money again. So again, maybe you had some PDT or something like that you have to watch out for. IWM calls that we have for Friday are now green. Close them out on Friday though. But again, if you're still holding it, just a heads up. 10-year treasury yields pulling back a little bit, 4.34% this morning. Crude oil is down 79.84 a barrel, $79.82. The volatility index 1682, down about 1.81%. 103.48 on the dollar index. That just bounced. It's back above the 200-day moving average. We just had a flip from euro dollar from green to red. So I'm watching the dollar closely because that might put some pressure on equities as much as maybe the bonds will. And that's a note I put out yesterday on the blog, was that try not to fall into that trap of everything being a one-for-one correlation. I remember everyone was all about the yield curve inversion, that's going to create a recession, for guaranteed. And again, you can't just base everything just on one thing. Dollar's up, that means stocks are going to go down every time. That's not the case every time. Sometimes the dollar's up, sometimes stocks are up. Sometimes the dollar's down, stocks are down. Happens. Same thing with yields. Let's not fall into that yield trap that, oh, just because yields are breaking out. Again, important, but let's not make that being the sole reason why the market pulled back. And again, yields are still elevated. Nothing has changed. 4.346. I mean, they're up. And look at the NASDAQ. It's still green. So we may get a pullback here. I do have NASDAQ futures long. Right now, our stop currently on the NASDAQ long, we got in at 15,000. I moved the stop to 1580 just so everyone gets something. The last thing we want is a rug pull. I had a question regarding possibly adding a position on the NASDAQ long. I said no because nothing has really changed. And for that being said, we want to get those quick wins. This market is not allowing us to take too much at a time. The volume is still relatively low, as we know. So again, we're about 5 points away from that stop. Currently, it is green. We got in yesterday at 2:48 p.m. Nick sent it. 15,000 was the entry. 15,265 is the target. That's right around this zone here. That gets us back to Monday levels for the most part. If we even get back to 15.2, which was my real target, which is my really short-term target, as you can see here based on the green dotted lines. Let's go to the daily and I'll show you why. And you can see that's kind of been that midpoint for this stock, for this index. That was that green candle where we finally got that juice breakout in mid-July. So see if we could retest there. And again, we broke that trend line. Remember, we talked about how important trend lines are, right? That trend lines can be broken like a UNH or an Amazon, or not Amazon, excuse me, an Apple or Microsoft. And we get those bounces sometimes. So, it's not as exactly as one for one in the textbooks. If that was the case, every economist in the world would be billionaires. It doesn't work like that. It's still a market. Market's a living, breathing thing. Things change rather quickly, and it is your responsibility and your job to be on top of everything, to understand what's happening, why it's happening, so on and so forth. So sometimes when the market's up, those headlines will come in and say, Dow is up despite of this, or Dow is down because of this. Everyone needs an explanation on why. That's news reporting, but just don't fall into that trap that everything needs to be one-for-one correlation. It just doesn't work that way. There's not just one holy grail indicator. The 20-day is not the only reason you should trade long. The 200-day is not the only reason you should buy. It takes more than just technical analysis. You have to read the whole tape, the whole deal, to really understand why stocks move the way they do. And it helps to have you on this channel for us to explain why those things happen, so you guys can learn in the future and do it on your own. Gasoline futures up 0.17%, $2.55. Gold futures 19.24. That is up slightly this morning, even with the dollar being up. Silver 23.38, up 0.17%. Copper is up 0.89%, $3.75. Going down to euro dollar, we talked about that, 108.64, down about 31 pips, 146 on the dollar yen. Remember that 150 level Goldman Sachs was talking about, that intervention level, more than likely a ceiling. But they've had intervention levels before, and the dollar yen just keeps rising. Pound dollar 127.41, that is down about 14 pips. Bitcoin futures 26,035, 1662 for Ethereum. Those are down marginally. Ethereum doing a little worse. Let's see on the questions. Good morning. Joey says good morning. I spoke to Joey yesterday on the DMs. Again, thank you, Joey, for reaching out. It's so important to hear feedback and questions from our members. That's what I do. The fact that you guys are here, I am completely honored that you guys even care what I have to say. So again, it is a privilege of mine to actually help you guys. I really do enjoy it. Carlos, can you give us some fib retracement levels on NQ? Sure, here it is on the daily. So we went ahead and put the fib retracement levels. Again, you could do it however you want. I know everyone has it upside down, inside out. You could put the 0% at the bottom. You could put the 0% at the top. The lines are really the same. So right now, in terms of Fibonacci levels, is what I have. The low being 10,484.75, and the top being 16,767, which was from November 2021. We are now at 15,089. We are testing or getting nearer to the top end of that 23.6 fib, which is 15,284. Remember, we talked about 15.2 being a level that we're targeting, at least for the short term. And again, guys, that gets us back to last Tuesday. Not exactly a big mover. The big deal here is really this trend line break, but you got that hockey save here right around 14,728. It's still a bullish momentum, upward trend. Again, you can draw lines however you please to justify or your bias at any time. That's the beautiful thing with drawing lines and Fibonacci's and technical analysis, is that really is just your bias, and that's fair. I mean, you have to have at least some kind of opinion, but it doesn't work as easy. Again, kind of the holy grail analogy. There's not just one thing that's going to help you, master the markets. Let's just say it's a combination of a lot of things. Being in the NBA, you just can't be just a shooter. You got to at least know how to dribble. You got to learn how to pass the ball at least. Maybe catch a rebound or two. Maybe play a little defense. But I mean, just the fact that you can only do one thing, or you only focus on one thing, I think that kind of restricts a trader to only thinking on one side. You have to be very expansive in your view in order to be successful in this business. You're talking about some of the most brilliant minds out there that are doing this for a living, or are trading for these hedge funds. You're talking about Ivy League grads that still don't have it down. And that's where you and your experiences and your perspectives really change it. Really, it's kind of the counteraction against your opponents, which is the other traders. If you're taking a position, understand there's someone else selling that to you. So they're hoping that you're wrong so they can get paid, and you're hoping you're right so you can get paid. That's every day. Let's go and take a look at Tesla. Tesla we did play yesterday, so I went ahead and brought up the daily. The runner hit a bag, which is 100%. Awesome. So I sent this out yesterday. The actual breakdown on Tesla was actually, I believe I sent that on Sunday, the 20th. Yeah, it was on Sunday. So you could see here, here's the date, guys. This is part of the Watch This and Charts. This is for Premium and Masterclass. 8:20 at 7:40 p.m. Sunday nights, I really like doing my charting. Tesla, this one has been good to us, but we're getting oversold to break 220 again. There's the 100 moving average. You can see 220.88 now. We can play calls to 235, which was the previous gap fill we traded. We're not trading at 240. So we got in the 235 calls that are in the money. Tesla 200 for more downside. Again, you need to target 200 for more downside, but we didn't get that break. We had to break 212.42. And you can see it was just oversold. That's all it was. And this was the target that was that trend line target, but we were holding that 100. If we were going to get some more downside action, we'd have to break the recent lows. We did not. We broke above. We traded those Tesla calls. Here is the entrance here, 9:43 in the morning. Woo, where did it go? 9:43 in the morning, excuse me. $1.82, 235 calls. The stock now is trading at 240.55. Well done on Tesla. I did not hold. I'm kind of kicking myself. God knows where that runner is. I took it for 70 because I thought we were going to reject that 1 hour, 100-day moving average, and we got another leg higher. We're above the 200. Now it gets really interesting. We're overbought on the 1 hour, so I'm not going to put too much emphasis there. But my target is 250. So if we just do the daily, let's say we bought some time for next week, maybe. You could see that we're still near the end on the bottom end of oversold. So we may have a little more juice on Tesla. I don't like the fact that we're up so high so quickly. I would like a retest of 238.44. That's the 200 1 hour MA. I think if we test that again and we hold it, we can play the 250 calls. I think there's going to be some profit taking this morning. We may get a slight dip. We might get a crack on it. If we play Tesla again, guys, that'll be the 6th time in 3 weeks that we've traded this name. Calls and puts. It has been a great one to us. Let's see here. Thoughts on SPY. All right, let's take a look at SPY. I have a target here of 443.72. As you can see, I'm between 2 yellow lines for a reason. That has been a range that we've been stuck on really in June and July before that second week breakout that we got. We fell back down, and you could see that we played that support here around 435. We didn't play ES there. We played NQ instead, NASDAQ futures. And you could see that the next target higher is right around 440, 435. So the problem is that you have Jackson Hole on Friday with Powell. So again, you do have some headline risk. The S&P just downgraded some US banks. That was at night, overnight. Apparently the market doesn't care. The market's higher, so it doesn't really matter, at least right now anyways. That could change. Remember, guys, yields are still higher. Look at C10-year Treasury yields, 4.342. Nothing has really changed other than the fact that we are oversold. It's an oversold bounce. So again, I'm all for us going higher. I'm all for it. But again, we're just back at levels we haven't seen since probably last Thursday. Not exactly something to throw a parade over, but we can take advantage. I like SPY to 445 to 444.35. If I was playing calls, and again, I don't mind playing them, I would say right above this 200 moving average on the 1 hour. It's 442.47. That might not give us a lot of wiggle room. So again, that's about a $3 move on SPY. Not exactly something that's gonna, go crazy over. If with a little luck we can get to 450, the edge isn't there yet. We have to get above 442.47 to trade the 445 calls with volume. We want to make sure there's enough volume, and hopefully call prices are still relatively depressed in the market, meaning to the downside, cheaper. Is Disney or Target, are they dead money? Let's go and take a look at Disney. Disney on the daily, you can see just not much going on. And again, I think I talked about this on a clip on the social media, that Disney really now is more of an acquisition target than it is a company that you're looking for continuous growth. So we're probably just waiting now as a Disney shareholder for the possibility that Apple comes knocking, or that Disney sells ESPN, which is not very profitable. Been saying that seriously for like 5 years, that it needs to unwind Disney. Disney needs to unwind ESPN. ESPN is just too expensive because of the live sports that they offer. NFL TV rights, NBA TV rights, Major League Baseball TV rights, F1 TV rights, soccer TV rights, NHL TV rights. I mean, it gets to the point that it gets so expensive, it doesn't become a profitable entity. Now, a company like an Apple can handle that. Since Disney's just primary revenue driver is 2 things, parks and media, right? So if media, it comes to the point where your studios are not making enough money, your ESPN or these broadcast channels are not making enough money, more people are cutting the cord, less people are watching television. It's more a la carte in terms of what you want to watch on these streaming services. I want to watch this, I don't want to watch that. ESPN, again, being such a big part of the cable package, that's something that some people don't want to pay for. And back in the early 2000s, it used to be bundles of plans in regards to channels based on your satellite dish or your cable provider. And you had a package, and you had, okay, I wanted the news package, I wanted the sports package. But on your bill, if you look very closely back in those days, it would show the fees structure based on what channels cost what. So ESPN was always a very big chunk of your cable bill, but that's changing. Those revenues are coming down. It's not the same as it was back in the mid 2010s or mid 2000s. Disney now is so dependent that on the theme parks to generate the revenue to kind of offset these media brands that they already have, and the Hulu acquisition too, that's costing money. I still think Disney should sell ESPN. I don't know if they will. If they sell to ESPN, the best marriage would be Apple. Apple doesn't make their money on Apple TV. To them, it's just a way to have sticky service, part of their services window or services part of the Apple ecosystem. They're a phone company. That's really it. iPhone is their main revenue driver. Services, they just want to keep growing that in order to prop the valuation of where it is, which is rather expensive, I believe, at a 26-time forward multiple. But they have the cash balance sheet to operate that. So I think it's the marriage made in heaven if Apple were to buy Disney in total. But if they buy ESPN, I think that's a really great move for Disney. They'll boost their cash position and get rid of that legacy brand that they don't need, and Apple will have more of a footprint into sports. So I know it's a lot in terms of Disney, but again, you're really just looking for acquisition, or they're shedding assets in order to bolster the cash position. That's why the stock is trading pretty much sideways. We don't know what's going to happen with Disney. You're still trading at a 43 RSI. It's not enough here. I think above 100, it gets interesting. You have a gap to fill right below 100. I think if you get that gap fill and get to 100, I think it starts getting more enticing as we're starting to see possible natural buyers out there who want to buy the stock. That's how you're going to have to look at it. In terms of Target, and again, it still hasn't broken the 120 level. Their earnings report wasn't as great as people thought. Now you're looking at Target as possibly a turnaround story. Will a corporate raider come in and try to fix it? Will a hedge fund really take a big stake in Target and see if they can reverse themselves in any way possible, revamp the stores? Who knows? It could be anything. Could it be just economics? I doubt it. Walmart had a great quarter, but again, they have more groceries. So is this more an issue of Target's, the backlash in terms of the political stuff, the social stuff, in regards to, the boycotts of Target? Is that really the meat of it? If we look at the Bud Light, is that kind of the same thing here we're looking at here? Is that a quick turnaround story where they just take that kind of controversy away and Target stock is going to go higher? It's cheap. Let's go and take a look at Target. You kind of got to look in the sense of, if you're an investor, do you want to take advantage of other people's kind of throwing in the towel? Even the best investors throw in the towel at the worst time. Remember, Warren Buffett sold Delta Airlines pretty much at the lows. And you can see Target here right now at a forward PE multiple of 14. That is extremely cheap. Very, very cheap. But again, it is rather cyclical. So again, if you are confident in the consumer, if you're confident in more retail sales, Target is probably one of the better ones to target, no pun intended, because it's cheaper. And they do pay a dividend, 3.46%. Is that sustainable? We'll see. But to pay 3.5 yield, to really just chop around down here, is that really worth your time? I think you can do better with a high yield savings account from SoFi, for example. I think that pays 4.5% risk free. It's FDIC insured. I would not buy the stock for the dividend. You're buying the stock because you're cherry picking to see if you can catch someone that would take an activist share into Target and see if they can turn it around. Maybe a Bill Ackman or something does that. This is what happens when these stocks get really cheap. There's always a price out there for a buyer. Everyone has a price in a sense. 120. Let's see if we get to 120, and then I'll see what we do on Target. But right now, it's pretty much just standing pat where it is. I've been kind of wanting to trade the name. I think there was a gap to fill that I was looking for. Let me see if I can find it. Was there a gap here? No. Well, there is a gap here at 146.84. That's the one I'm looking for. And see if we can break about 140, and then we can trade it. But I don't think it's dead money, Disney or Target, if that helps. Morning, boss. AMD to 112. Let's see it. Well, here's the deal with AMD, and it's about to break my alert, if not already. 109.51, that was the level I had. So I want to cancel that alert. I want to put it a little higher at 110.42. Why? We are overbought on the 1 hour. I don't want to put too much emphasis, but again, it's important. 110.43, that's the 200 MA on the 1 hour. Just keeping it very tight here if we were going to trade it. I think Tesla's probably a better setup, but even that's overbought. I like the fact that we bounced over the 100 MA, 100 DMA, but you can target 111.12. But again, trading at 109.55, I would say 111.12 would be that next hurdle higher. If you trade the 110.43 calls, if you break 110.43, excuse me, that clears that 1 hour 200 MA. And then you can target the 20-day MA. And again, if we get above that, that would probably indicate what? A change in trend, at least on the daily. We can target 112, or we can be a little safer, wait for 111.27 to break. That's the 20, and we can target 114. So again, it really depends on preference. If I can get Amazon today and kind of get out of that position, and again, I don't hate the position. For all we know, it's going to go in the money. But again, I kind of want to remove risk. Again, we're kind of still trading in this choppy waters in terms of volume, guys. Look at S&P 500 volumes, bottom blue bars here. You can see just continuous downside. See the blue bar here, blue bar here, blue bar here. That's all volume. Volume was very weak Monday and Tuesday of last week. Just as week before, really where we got some kind of volume was on Thursday and Wednesday. So maybe that's where we're going to see a little more action in terms of the market. The only issue is that NVIDIA reports tomorrow. And if you get into an AMD and you trade it, you run the risk of having that exposure to semiconductors. AMD is going to move in sympathy with NVIDIA, whether up or down, it will meet it. It won't go one for one, obviously, but if NVIDIA tanks, AMD is going to fall too. And if NVIDIA soars, last time we played earnings, we had NVIDIA called runners, it's going to soar too. So I expect those AMD calls to be a bit juiced in terms of premiums, as I am not the only one who understands the sympathy trade. So again, be prepared for some demand there. God help us all. Tomorrow NVIDIA misses, right? Because then we got a little more ways to go down. Again, we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for your questions as always. Any questions as well, if you're on the Discord server, please DM me. Love to hear from you. Comment any of your questions below here on YouTube. Like this video if you do like it. Again, guys, thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.